In this video, I'll be showing you how to create quizzes on the ODEL platform. So we shall start by opening our course page. In this case, I have mine open and the course name is Introduction to Information Technology. To start with, we need to first of all turn on our editing so that you are able to edit the course. Now that the editing is turned on, the next step is to click on our settings icon or settings gear here and create a question bank. Okay, why is a question bank important or relevant? You'll find that it saves you a lot of time and trouble in cases whereby you need to give tests or assignments on different occasions. Let's say some group or some section of students missed the assignment for whichever reason they have, or you could even use the same bank or same set of questions even in the future for other similar assignments in the same course. So let's click on the settings gear. We shall get a menu, and from this menu we shall select the last option, which says more. So after clicking on more, it will give us the screen from which you can choose the or select the question bank, just like you can see. So this is our question bank where we put all the questions we want to be using in our quizzes. So we have clicked on our question bank. We are now waiting for the next screen, which will take us to where we can select the questions that we want to set. As it's coming, of course, we can categorize, we can import from other question banks, we can as well export the existing question bank. Under categories, for example, in the subject, you have different topics and you want to set questions in each topic. So in this case, we click on category and then create a category in this case. And of course, the screen that allows us to create a category has the option for naming a category and then clicking on create category. After clicking on question bank, this is the next screen that is presented to us. And within this screen, in case we have multiple categories created, we select which category to which we want to add a question. So for my case, I have two categories created so far. That is, I have the default one for the course, and then I also have this one called hardware. So in this case, in case I want to create a category, I'll click here, and then I'll have the next screen giving me the option to give a name for the category I want to create. So I want to create questions in this default category. So we shall click on create a new question. Then from there, it will prompt us to choose the question type that we want to add to our category, to our question bank. So amongst the options, we have multiple choice, true, false, matching, short answer, etc. Let's go by the default option on top, that is multiple choice, and click on it. Now that we have selected the question type we want to create for this specific question, remember each question you create, you select the question type you want to have created. So let's click on add down here on our screen. It will give us the option to type in the question. Okay, first of all, we shall give it the question name. So I would recommend that we use numbers. For example, this is question number 1, then question number 2, question number 3, and so on. So this first question, I'm giving it question number 1 as my question name. Then what is the question that I want to create? So the question text comes next. In this case, I have my questions already prepared. So I'll just go select the question, Control-C for copy, then come back to my page and paste in or type in the question. The next step is to select the default mark. What score, how much score do you want this question to carry? Okay, so you can choose between any point, any number to any number. For example, at different questions, I've got different scores. For example, this one could be having 1, another one 0.2, another one 0.5, 1.8, 2 marks, 5 marks, etc. Now from there, the next step is specifying whether we want this question to have multiple answers or just one answer must be correct. In this case, I want only one answer for this question. Then you want it to shuffle between options, whereby, for example, I have question number 1, option A, B, C, D. Should it be the same answer for all the participants, or you want for each participant find out, for example, my answer number A is not the same as the next candidate and the other candidate? I always prefer to shuffle between questions so that between options, so that it also reduces on chances of copying, especially when they are doing in a group. Then also the numbering, of course, you can leave the default, but in case you want maybe to be numbered 1, 2, 3, ABC capital, ABC small, Roman numeral, etc. For my case, I think I'm going to leave the default one. Then the next step is to feed in the options or the choices for the answers. So in this case, I have my answers ready as well. If in case you don't have them ready for just copy and paste, you can just type them in there. So I'm going to paste my answers. Option number 1 is that one, Control V. Then option number 2 is this one here. I will copy and then take it to option number 2. You can give as many options as you want, between 2 up to any number you want. There's no limit on how many options you can give. Then this is my option number C. I'm feeding it in there as well. Then finally, I have option number 4. Let me just type it in there and say none of the options. Now the next step is to select which answer is correct out of the many. But before looking at that, just in case I need more options, we have option number 5. It is empty. I didn't fill in anything. Then in case I need more, I can always keep clicking on add, clicking on blank for more choices. So in this case, I want to select the correct answer. Let me assume, for example, question number 1, the correct answer is A, is this one here, arithmetic operation. So what I'll do under grade, I'll go to grade and then select here 100%. So the only answer that is correct is the one with 100%. Now that I've selected the correct answer and the rest is having none, I'll just go and save the changes. And after saving the changes, we shall expect to be taken to the next page. So now that I have created my first question, it's already here. In case I need to create more questions, I'll just keep doing the same by clicking on create new question. So let me create another question type this time around. I want to create true or false. Click add. After clicking on add, you are going to repeat the same process by adding the new question up when we are done. So in this case, it is true or false. And my question number 2 says, which language do computers use? No, I think this one will work better. Machine language is the language used by computers. Then let me take it to my question text and paste. This one, I'm going to call it question number 2. Then maybe this one, I want it to carry maybe 1.9. Then the options we have. What is the correct answer in this case? Okay. So is it true or false? I think for my case, the answer is true. Then it is as simple as that for true or false. Then let's also look at short answer, where the candidate is required to fill in what they think is correct. So in this case, again, shall go back to create new question. Then question type, it is short answer in this case. Click on add. The question screen will come so that we're able to type in the question. So in this case, it is a short answer. So I want to ask which language, so that they don't have to just copy answers that are provided within the options. But I also want to test if they can just think on their own and get the correct answer. So in this case, they're asking me to give it the question name, which is number 3. The question text is this. Then the weight I want to assign to my question. In this case, maybe this one should be how many, since they're going to use their brain without having to copy the answer from the options given. Let me give it maybe 3 marks. Okay, let me give it 3 marks. Then after giving it the weight, I'm moving on down to give the correct answers. So in this case, you provide the answers which you think or which you want the candidates to provide. Okay, so for my case, according to the question, of course, the answer is machine language. Okay, just in case there are other answers that you want the candidates to give, amongst the possible answers, in case there are more than one correct answer, you can keep typing them in here. For example, answer number 2, answer number 3. Okay, in case you want more answers, again, we have the option for doing what? For adding blanks. So of course, for my case, I'm not able to add. Why? Because I didn't exhaust all the options here. I have some blanks. So in this case, I want the correct answer to be this one here, which is machine language, and the weight, the grade is 100%. In case you have more than one answer, of course, you have to keep assigning the grade to 100%. Then moving on, we are going to save our changes before going to the next question. So save changes, and then we are taking to the next screen. We are taking it back to the screen that allows us to create as many questions as we need. Now that we are done creating our questions in the question bank, now the next step is creating the quiz itself, or setting the quiz itself on the course page. Just like you can see, I have so many questions in my question bank, and these questions are in different categories. For example, this category is called, in this case, it's called Excel. Then I have another category called fill in blank. I have another one called Office, Word, I have PowerPoint, and so on. Let me now go to the main course page and create some questions. So to create questions on the course page, we ought to create the quiz on the course page. We shall go to add activity or resource. Just like you can see on my screen here, we have add activity stroke resource. So here, I've clicked on add activity stroke resource. So they will ask us which resource we want to add. In this case, we want to add a quiz. Remember, we have just created questions in the question bank, but now we are creating a quiz. So we are clicking on quiz. After clicking on quiz, we expect to be asked the name of the quiz. For example, this is test 1 2021. Test 1 2021, like that. Then you can choose to add a description or not. So for example, within the description, you can talk about the test, maybe put the instructions that the students should follow, and so on. In case you are making it option, in case you are making it public for the students to view, of course, you have to display on the course page by clicking in this option here, so that the students are able to see the questions. So within this screen, again, among other things, we can make other settings or configurations. For example, when should this quiz be open? I can set it today, but I want them to do it in the next maybe 5 days or next month or 3 months or even a year from today. But I'm just setting it right now. So to enable this, you click here. Then how about when should it close? Having opened it, let's say today, or I want it to open tomorrow. For how long should it open? So to set close date, you enable this as well. Then after enabling this, you specify the specific day you want this quiz to be accessible. So in this case, I want it to be accessible on Saturday, 13th November 2021. Then I want it to end on the same date. Okay, same date, 13th November. Now, how about the time? In this case, what time should this quiz be open? Maybe I want it to be open at 7 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. exactly, 7:00. So I'll set the time and then the end date. In this case, I want it to run for about 30 minutes. I'll look at this, but I want it to close at maybe at 12 noon exactly, so that anybody who has not attempted it within that period is not able to access this quiz. Then time limit, for how long should the candidates do? We shall first of all enable and then set the time, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour or so. In this case, I want them to attempt for 60 minutes. So that meaning if somebody logs in at 8, 8:10, at 9, anytime within that time frame between 7 and 9, they're able to attempt the quiz. Then when time expires, what should come next? I want the submissions to be sent automatically. Then the grading, you can look at the grading as well. Whether you want them to have as many attempts as they want or you want to restrict. In this case, I always prefer restricting and maybe allowing them only one attempt. After attempting for the first time, you're not allowed to attempt again. Then under layout, we are looking at whether you want how many questions on a page or not. I always prefer setting it to 1 so that a student focuses on one question at a time before moving on to the next question. Then we need to look at question behavior. With question behavior, we are looking at whether the question should shuffle. What do I mean by this? For example, question number 1 for candidate A is reading about what is a computer. But question number 2, much as they are doing the same questions, is reading something completely different. So for purposes of restricting people from copying, if they are doing the same questions at the same time, I always prefer having them shuffle bit so that they don't appear to be displayed at the same time for all the candidates. Then question behavior, I want them to differ so that they don't get feedback until the end of the assessment. Then review option is also very important. When should the feedback be provided to the candidate? Is it when they attempt the question, they should know whether it's correct or not? Okay. Should they see the score for each question after attempting it? etc. I always prefer to allow them access everything at the end here, not after the attempt of each question, not later when the quiz is still open, but at the end of the quiz, when the quiz is closed. So what do you do for that? To just disable whichever you don't want them to view, because they can share the correct answer with the colleagues that haven't yet attempted the quiz. So for my case, I always disable all these options and only allow them to access, including their final grade, because in such cases, the system automatically marks and gives the feedback at the end of the course. Then with appearance, we are looking at how many decimal places, whether you want their profiles to be displayed. Then let's also look at exam restrictions on attempt. With this one, we are looking at whether they should be asked for the password before accessing the quiz or not, and so on. Then we have, let me look at module settings. With module settings, we are looking at whether students can do this quiz in a group. But in this case, I think I always advise and recommend each student to attempt their quiz alone. Then restrictions, we are looking at, for example, when should the student access the quiz on the system? Okay, when should they access the quiz on the system? When you click on add restriction, you can say that maybe after they have done a certain assignment that has already been uploaded on the system. Or you could even say that I want them to access this quiz on a specific date, meaning even after setting the quiz today, they can't see anything on the course page, not until the specific date reaches. So in this case, I want them to access this quiz from, I think I want them to access it on the same day it's going to be done. But sometimes you can choose to, for example, within the course description, I talked about setting instructions within the course description, meaning I can allow them to access that first page, which has no questions, even prior days before. In this case, I set the time and the date when I want them to access the quiz, but not able to attempt. Having done all what you've done, of course, we have to always keep saving our changes. Now, the next question is, now that we've created our quiz, how do you exactly add questions? So for us to add questions, having saved my changes on the quiz, we go to the quiz itself. I think it's here. And when you look at this quiz, once we click on, it's reading test 1, 2021. So once we click on the quiz, it will take us to the quiz directly, okay? And once we get to the quiz, we have, it's reading attempts allowed 1. Time limit 6 minutes. I think I said 6 instead of 60. Then we need to edit this quiz. So for us to edit the quiz and be able to add the questions, we shall click on edit quiz so that we are able to add questions, because it's saying no questions have been added yet. Now that we've been taken to this next page, they're asking us the maximum grade. Assuming I want to mark this quiz out of, let's say, 40, I'll just type the maximum grade I want the system to use. Then I talked about shuffling questions. I always encourage this so much. Then after setting this, we need to add the questions to our test or to our quiz. Now the question is, do I want to type a question or I want to pick from a question bank? Okay. You can, of course, keep doing this by clicking on add new question, then you type the question you want to add, or you can add from the question bank and select the specific question you want. Then you can also add random questions. To add from the question bank, I shall click on add from question bank and then select which question I want to add, meaning it's up to me to choose which question I want to be part of this quiz out of the many that I have in my question bank. Of course, we have different categories. I can always specify which category I want the question to be picked from. So for my case, in this case, I want to add this one, I want to add this one, I want to add this one, I want to add this one. Then I'll click on add question to the quiz. Having added that one, let's also look at how to pick them randomly from the question bank. So if I have these questions added, but I want to pick from the question bank, but randomly, not all the questions. So in this case, I'll also click on add, like I did before, then random questions. Now, in this case, of course, they will also ask me the category. In case I have more than one category, I can pick from this category this time around, then I repeat the process, pick from another category, like that. So let me pick from Excel, in this case, that has 60 questions. Then how many questions that I want? Added randomly. I want, let me select, I want to add 40 questions from the question bank, okay? After selecting the question bank, the number of questions that I want to add, we shall just click on add random questions, meaning out of the many, each student will be given a unique question randomly. It will be picked randomly and then added and assigned to the candidate. Then if I want to add from another category again, I'll just do the same process, add question. Then out of add question, I'll select the category I want to add and select the number of questions that I want to be added randomly, and that will be it. My test will be ready for the candidates to attempt. Thank you for listening and watching. Nice time.